Hey everybody out in YouTube land. Again, this is Jason over at Schley's Bonsai and Supplies. Today I wanted to talk about black olive, Bonsai spinosa. We also have Bonsai biceris, but there's not enough here to really show you. The Bonsai biceris, or shady lady, has the same exact type of growth habit that Bonsai spinosa does. The After they start to set from seed, I'll take them and put them in a tray and keep them in full sun and keep them above 50. They typically will sprout the next spring as long as they were kept above 50 degrees. And they sprout really good. Now I have started air layering because the little ones sell so well I can't keep up, and my friends down in South Florida who used to grow them as well no longer grow them from seed. They haven't been propagating them, so I'm just trying to do it as much as I can. And the air layers are a great way to get a good thick trunk relatively quickly. I air layer tropical trees when it's above 50 degrees. I typically air layer as early in the season as I can so we can cut them off the same time of year. These were actually put on in April because the nights were above 50, 55. They probably already are starting to issue roots, but we won't check them till August or September. At that point we'll cut them off, so we'll have 6 weeks of above 50 degree nights so they can establish in the pots. But these are great pieces of material. What I'll typically do when I grow these is I'll have a side branch, say this right here. If there's a long straight section, I'll typically cut that section off once the trunk has achieved a significant amount of thickness, and I'll stake this up. And what will happen is as this thickens up and grows, like this one, it becomes the new top. The original top was cut off a long time ago. That's how I keep the movement. I don't even have to wire these trunks for movement because they naturally make this beautiful shape. This one right here is another good example. This is one of the first ones that I did from my batch over in Holly Hill, and it's one of the last ones I have left. It has a decent trunk, but it had this long straight section because they do issue these long straight shoots. I cut that section off, and now I'm going to take this and stake it up and grow it for a few seasons. What that'll do is give me that movement. It'll give me some great taper. You can see. And this is going to be just an exceptional tree in a couple more years. Now I will tell you that this right here in Central Florida in Holly Hill, where I would get 30 degree nights, that took me about 12 years. I had one more batch that came before this that were 15 years old, and I sold the last one to a good customer of mine named John Shire. But that was one of the last ones I had from my original batch. This is the second batch that I had, and again, this is all I have left. However, I did find somebody else who has an awful lot of large ones that were cut back for our workshop that we're doing in September. Again, this one right here I found a line. This was long, straight, and boring. There wasn't any taper, so I air layered it. Now this is going to be the start of another great low tree. These are all seedlings. Again, I'm sorry for the weeds. Here's my weed pot. I'm in the middle of doing it, but just trying to get all of this done. Again, here's another air layer that was placed on Bonsai spinosa. We're going to take this low branch here and bring it up and make a nice shorter tree out of this. Let me show you real quick. If you ever saw the introduction, which was really long, sorry about that, of our nursery, I showed you the black olives, but if you didn't see it, I just want to show them to you. Black olives are always repotted in the heat of the summer, early in the season, so you have at least 6 weeks of above 55 degree nights. They are local down, or native down in South Florida, and they believe they grow in the Bahamas. It's a great material. They do grow as a full-size tree. I've seen them 50 feet tall with perfectly straight trunks, but these are all grown from seed from a friend of mine down in South Florida. We picked them all up. These are all about 4 feet tall, and we went and cut them all back for good lines. You can see the side branch was brought up. That side branch is now going to become the new apex and the trunk line. They do, that's my favorite one of the group right there. They do make fantastic little shohin trees. Some of the drawbacks on black olives is, one, they do not like it cold. Even here in Central Florida, they will pout and die back and defoliate below 40 degrees. They like it hot. They like 100-degree weather. They like it really warm. If you guys have a hot house up north, or if you have a really warm greenhouse, these guys will not stop growing. In the spring, even if they're kept nice and warm and they keep all their foliage, all the old foliage just starts to look rough. These are all just repotted, and we took a lot of roots off to get them in these bonsai pots. So what will happen is because it's hot, I'm not worried about it at all, but the old foliage will turn yellow and fall off, and at the base of every section of leaves, you'll get a big cluster of new growth. Now, in the spring, even if you don't mess with the roots, they do the same thing. This is a perfect example. This one a week ago defoliated, and if you look closely, you'll see all new growth on it. They do that every spring, even if you keep them warm. See, this one defoliated when we repotted it, and looking closely, you can see, I don't know if you can see it, you can see all new growth at the section of every one of these leaves. Same thing with this one. That's just how they grow. So a lot of people will buy a Bonsai spinosa from me in the winter, and the leaves will just look horrible. And they'll call and say, "Oh, what's wrong?" That's what happens. They hold their leaves on in the winter. Even down in Miami, they do that. It's almost their winter or their fall down there. You can tell by the black olives, because the black olives the leaves just start looking rough. And as you know, the leaves don't last. Any leaves don't last on a tree forever. They are shed usually every 3 to 6 months, unless it's a juniper. It's a natural growth process, but it is a little disconcerting when you see a tree that you've had for years and years all of a sudden defoliate. They don't like to completely dry out either. They like to keep their roots moist. In the summer, they like their roots wet as long as they have good drainage. If you have good drainage on a black olive and it's 95 degrees, the more you water it and fertilize it, the faster it'll grow. They do grow just gangbusters. And you can see these are all in bonsai soil. They were all completely defoliated. Completely removed of any soil around the roots, because I didn't want to have any really wet spots in the center of the root ball with everything else drying out. Because what will happen is the roots will grow into the bonsai mix, and then it'll dry out in the bonsai mix. All them fresh roots will dry out and die, whereas just the center will stay too wet. So we completely defoliate all these black olives just to make sure that they have perfect drainage and we don't have any spots. Right there, there's all new growth on this. And it was just repotted about 2 weeks ago. And then once they start growing, they won't stop. They'll need to be trimmed about 2 or 3 times. We're going to be doing this class in September. These are fantastic little trees. They're all going to be under 9 inches except for a couple. But even those, once this one sprouts, and they will sprouts here, this guy will be cut again so we can have a nice amount of low movement and interest, but he won't be ready for the class. Although I do have 35 of them. These are just a few of them that are going to be ready. So if you do decide you want to take the class, it'll be on the website in the next couple days. It's going to be a lot of fun. We may have a guest artist for one of them, and it should be good times. Thank you very much. Bonsai spinosa, bonsai variety of the day. Thanks for watching.